For the last 5 years, the Baltimore Ravens have been led by one of the most dynamic and electrifying players to ever play in the NFL. Lamar Jackson is coming off his second MVP award, and while he made it further into the playoffs than any previous season, we as fans know that he wants more. With 2023 being an extremely successful season despite not quite making it to the Super Bowl, what should fans hope to see Lamar Jackson achieve in this upcoming 2024 season? There are, of course, changes that have been made to the offense, losses like OBJ, Gus Edwards, and Devin Duvernay, as well as additions like Derrick Henry, rookie Devontae Walker, and 3 different starters on the offensive line. So, how will these changes impact what Lamar Jackson can do with this Ravens offense in its second year under offensive coordinator Todd Monken? Well, that's what we're here to find out, and to see if we can project what type of season Lamar Jackson can have. Let's get to it. Welcome in, everyone. This is Jordan with Ravens Flash Report, and over the last 5 years that Lamar Jackson has been the starter for the Ravens franchise, his individual accomplishments and acknowledgments in the football community showcase what sort of talent and effect he has on the field. For this projection video, I'm only going to be using numbers dating back to 2019, as Lamar only started in 7 games in the 2018 season, and the offense, while shifted towards his skills, was not made for him and him alone until 2019. Since the start of the 2019 season, Lamar has played in 3 full seasons, while only playing in 12 games for the 2021 and 2022 seasons. Through those 70 games, Lamar has completed a total of 1,263 passes on 1,942 attempts, for a total of 14,686 yards and a completion percentage of 65%. He's thrown 119 touchdowns to 42 interceptions and has an average passer rating of 99.2. Over that same 70-game span, Lamar has run the ball 728 times for a total of 4,563 yards. He's averaged 6.3 yards per carry, 65.2 yards per game, and 10.4 attempts per game. He's rushed for 24 touchdowns and fumbled the ball 41 times. Despite being in his first year in the Todd Monken system, Lamar had arguably the best passing year of his career. 307 completions from 457 attempts, for a career-high 3,678 yards and a career-high in completion percentage at 67.18%, is cause for belief and expectations of Lamar to be sky-high this year, especially when considering the incredible rushing ability Lamar presents, combined with the Ravens' new weapon in Derrick Henry. Last year, Lamar ran the ball 148 times for 821 yards while adding 5 rushing touchdowns. Though I do expect his 9.25 rushing attempts per game to go down, I don't think that his 51.3 yards per game rushing will be affected too much with the addition of Henry, nor his 5.55 yards per attempt, but we'll get to that later. For 2024, from a pass-catching standpoint, Lamar for the second year in a row has potentially one of the best receiving corps that he's had in his career. With many people, including myself, expecting a noticeable improvement from Rashad Bateman and hopefully a better usage of Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews at the same time, Lamar will potentially be spoiled for choice when it comes to pass-catching options. Lamar, for a second year in a row, has multiple reliable options at the receiver position, with Zay Flowers at wide receiver 1, Rashad Bateman hopefully as a solid number 2, Nelson Agholor at 3 as a proven veteran who already has shown great awareness and communication with Lamar, and Devontae Walker, the speedy rookie the Ravens drafted in the 4th round of this year's draft. The tight end room, as I've stated in their projection video, is the best in the league in my opinion. Mark Andrews, after coming back from injury, is expected to return to his Pro Bowl form, with Isaiah Likely fresh off an incredible second half last year, who will undoubtedly be pushing for snaps in this offense all year. If Charlie Kolar and Patrick Ricard can give Lamar receiving options in addition to being capable blockers in pass protection and in the run game, well, that would just be gravy at that point. With receiving options between the wideouts and tight ends being, in my opinion, better and more well-rounded groups than last year, I believe the potential for the Ravens' passing attack will be even higher this year. When I started this channel last year, I didn't have the foresight to include a Lamar Jackson projection video. Well, this year, I will be remedying that mistake. Looking at the passing attempts, completions, yards, and all other quantifiable aspects to Lamar's pass game throughout his career, we can get a baseline for what Lamar can do and possibly look at where he is trending for 2024. Throughout Lamar's career since 2019, he's averaged 388.4 pass attempts per season and 252.6 completions per season, giving him an average completion percentage of 65.03% per year and 2,937.2 yards per year. Over that same span, Lamar has averaged 23.8 passing touchdowns per year 8.4 interceptions, and is sacked an average of 30.6 times each season. Last year, however, there were some changes to these numbers and averages, as is normal from year to year, but I think a larger reason for some of these changes is Todd Monken's offense. For example, both his pass attempts and completions were the highest of any year, as were his total yards. However, his touchdown total was only his third highest, his interception total was tied for second lowest, his passer rating was his second highest, but he was also sacked the second most times of a year. This makes sense if he's staying in the pocket trying to throw more passes. That's an important thing to remember, as our offensive line was considered one of the top in the league, and the Ravens find themselves in the same division as players like Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, who they see twice a year. With the data that I have and the trending of his passing stats, I feel fairly confident in the projections that I have for Lamar Jackson for 2024. I see Lamar attempting between 440 to 480 pass attempts, 280 to 320 completions, for 3,300 to 3,800 passing yards, 24 to 30 passing touchdowns, 7 to 10 interceptions, and taking 30 to 40 sacks in this upcoming season. As far as my reasoning for these numbers, I'll give you a quick breakdown. His pass attempts will go up based on the belief that Isaiah Likely and Rashad Bateman will be more involved for the entire season, along with a healthy Mark Andrews in the second year of Todd Monken's system. The completions are based around the fact that Lamar ranges from around 63 to 66% for his career. The increase in yards is tied to the increased attempts and completions, as are the touchdowns and interceptions based on his career averages adjusted for the increased passing attempts. I know that a lot of fans will take umbrage with one or all of these stats, depending on how they view Lamar Jackson, but at the end of the day, I have found that looking at what a player has actually done instead of what we hope they could do allows for more realistic expectations. I find this limits disappointment when they don't achieve ridiculous benchmarks, as well as amplifies the intangibles and non-quantifiable stats that a player like Lamar puts on display game after game and season after season. Having said all that, let's move now to the other part of Lamar's game, his rushing stats. With the injection of Derrick Henry into this offense, I believe that the numbers for Lamar Jackson's run game will probably be the biggest change from last year to this year. At least, that's what many would expect. Looking at the averages that Lamar has had from 2019 through last season, his rushing attempts per season are 145.6 for 912.6 yards and 4.8 touchdowns, while averaging 8.2 fumbles per season. Now, as I alluded to in the beginning, I do believe that Lamar's average number of attempts will go down. You don't bring in a player like Derrick Henry and have him only rush the ball 3 to 6 times a game. Hopefully. The use of Lamar Jackson in the run game should, however, change a bit this season. The first major reason for this change is simply the better options at the receiving game that he now has, as well as improvements to Todd Monken's passing game. The other major reason that I believe Lamar Jackson's rushing attempts will go down is the loaded backfield that the Ravens have going into the season. I know I've already spoken at length about Derrick Henry and what he brings to the team, but Justice Hill showed last year that he can be relied upon for a decent workload. Rasheen Ali, while a rookie coming off of an injury, has also shown in college he has serious capacity to take on a heavy workload, averaging 18.2 rushing attempts per game. Last but certainly not least, Keaton Mitchell should return at some point during the season, improving the Ravens' backfield even more later in the season. Lamar threw the ball more times and for more yards last year than ever before, but the Ravens still ran the ball more than any other offense in the league. In fact, if you know anything about the Ravens' offense recently, you'll know that the threat of Lamar Jackson running the ball is a major contributor to the effectiveness of Baltimore's run game. In the last 5 years, the Ravens have run the ball 2,735 times and are averaging 547 rushing attempts per season, while having no seasons below 500 attempts over that span. Now, I've given my projections for the Ravens running backs for this year, so adding up all the numbers in the run game as well as looking at Lamar Jackson's rushing attempts, yards, and touchdowns over the past 5 seasons, we should start to get an idea of what we might see out of Lamar's run game this year. I'll go through real quick what my projections are for Lamar and then explain my reasoning. So, in 2024, I believe Lamar Jackson will have between 120 to 140 carries for 750 to 850 yards and 4 to 6 rushing touchdowns. Despite the fact that Lamar ran the ball 148 times last season, which was the third most in his career, his attempts per game are the lowest that we've seen. In 2019, Lamar ran the ball 176 times, followed by 159 times in 2020. Both of those seasons, Lamar played in 15 games each. But in 2021 and 2022, Lamar only played in 12 games for each season. During those 12 games in 2021, Lamar ran the ball 133 times. In 2022, he ran the ball 112. If Lamar had had a full 17-game season in 2021 with the pace that he was on, he would have had a record 188 rushing attempts. In 2022, with a full 17-game season, Lamar would have had around 159 rushing attempts. So, with Lamar running the ball 148 times over a 16-game season last year, it shows that he actually runs the ball less often than in any other season. I think his numbers are going to go down even further this season due to him throwing the ball more, as well as having Derrick Henry next to him in the backfield. I can still see Lamar running the ball extremely effectively in 2024, but more importantly, it should be more efficient. Lamar Jackson has shown that he's an MVP contender year in and year out with his ability to take over a game with both his arm and his legs. With 3 perfect passer rating games and a 75% win rate, the Ravens will always be a playoff threat with Lamar under center. But in 2024, I expect to see even further growth from our record-setting quarterback. The addition of Henry takes pressure off Lamar to be the top run threat, and having a great young core of pass catchers along with several proven vets allow Lamar and Monken to open this offense up fully, and I can't wait to see what they do with it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave it a like. If you're new around here, subscribe. And if you have thoughts or opinions on what you're expecting from Lamar Jackson this season, put it down in the comment section below. As always, guys, stay safe out there and go Ravens.